今回はコロナの、パンデミックの中でも話題になっているディスクリミネーションっていうところについてキャロルと語っていきたいと思います。
Do I have anything that I've said or done? Have an open conversation, not a defensive conversation,
Right.
but have, a conversation. What have I said differently?
Unconsciously, we
Yes.
discriminate things.
I think for all of us living and working in an international world, we don't even think about. There are many things we might say or believe or think or act and not even recognize how insulting it can be to a certain person.
It's very dangerous. 皆さんこんにちは。ショッタロこと K2 の板矢詳太郎です。外資系企業で働くために英語力がどれぐらい必要かっていう、すみません、噛み前回の動画では外資 IT 企業で働くために必要な英語力について話しました。今回は今コロナの、パンデミックの中でも話題になっているディスクリミネーションっていうところについてキャロルと語っていきたいと思います。キャロルよろしくお願いします。Let's switch to English.
Okay.
So we see the word of discrimination on the newspaper every day, and then specifically, I don't really know about this topic, but I think it's good to talk about, exchanging information. So, is there anything you realized about the discrimination in our, space or something?
Well, I know this is a new channel, but
Yeah.
the first thing I noticed is actually the
My channel.
tagline
Yes.
for your channel
Yes.
is it's meant to just be encouraging, but it's boys be ambitious.
Boys be ambitious. Yes. That's.
So- This is, I think, a famous phrase in Japan. So,
Oh yes. I love this phrase, but it says boys actually. Boys be ambitious. Yeah.
but this is an example because I think a lot of people are they're unintentionally separating people and making outsiders and insiders.
That's true. I'm a bit upset. I don't discriminate people. That's what I saw. But actually, I am already here. Boys be ambitious. I see. Boys and girls be ambitious is the
Sure.
right phrase.
Or
Okay.
people be
Okay,
ambitious
okay.
or something.
I
And
see.
again, I think this phrase comes from, trying to encourage people to be their best self and do their best self, and it's people. I mean, it's the same as historically we've always referred to mankind instead of people-kind. And it doesn't mean that we should start saying womankind. It means that we just start being inclusive. All people.
I see. Boys
I don't
and
know
girls
what-
be ambitious by Carol Hosokura. Yes, I'm gonna put it.
Okay.
I see. Wow, unconsciously, we
Yes.
discriminate things.
And we all do. In every country, in every culture,
Right.
people have some inherent, inherent's not a good word because it implies that we can't fix it. But we have something from our ideology or the people around us that we don't even realize is creating someone outside and inside or separating people or discriminating against a person. And I think that's the big dialogue that's happening around the world now.
Yeah.
Is better late than never, but is for people to look at yourself and do I have anything that I've said or done and have an open conversation, not a defensive conversation,
Right.
but have a conversation. What have I said differently? The guys were just talking about discrimination both ways, right? So I'll give an offer of some very maybe harmless, but still very insulting or can be insulting discrimination. Like in the United States, we have many strong baseball players from Japan. And
Very true.
when Matsui came on the scene, one phrase they made for him was Matsui chop suey.
Matsui chop suey.
But chop suey is a dish not from Japan.
Chop suey. What's that kind of dish?
I think it's
Chinese?
Chinese or Korean, I don't know.
It's not even Japanese.
But it's not Japanese.
Matsui.
But that's a point. So,
okay.
and this is just another example if we want to flip it the other way, right?
A very good example.
There are, and everybody, I think, if they're honest, has at some point done that. But the important thing is that you're not consciously creating an ideology and acting on it, and that you are consciously examining and thinking about your behaviors, your actions, your words, your thoughts, and if they might be discriminating someone else. There's a whole deeper topic.
That's true.
About people having, a different level of opportunity from birth. That's a very different topic on discrimination and a very important one. But I think for all of us living and working in an international world, we don't even think about. There are many things we might say or believe or think or act and not even recognize how insulting it can be to a certain person.
It's very dangerous, I think.
And we might feel that we're equal with these people, but then we say or do or act something. So it's not to make people feel bad, but to be always consciously examining and thinking, am I saying something that might be offensive?
I see. I have a question. So when the American people put the nickname on Matsui, did they have a, how do you say, they wanted to put like a nickname with some negative connotation, or like?
No, it's positive. And that's
positive.
actually another interesting thing about discrimination too, because context is actually really important.
Right.
I wasn't in the US, I was here, so I don't really have any take on what do American people think of this or where did this come from. You all know his nickname became Godzilla, which is kind of interesting, but at least it's Japan. But it's not always, it's still a discriminating comment.
Right,
but
yes.
There are weights to what you've said. If you're making a comment about excluding someone's culture and insisting that they only adapt to your culture to be part of you, that's a negative. If you're saying when they do something you like, they're part of your culture, when they do something you don't like, they're bad, that's a negative. But if you're saying you're celebrating that these people from this culture have successfully done something over here, it's a different context. It doesn't make it not a discriminating comment, but the weight, I think, is also important.
That's very true.
And the intention. And I don't know I didn't make the phrase, so I don't know if I should follow through on the example, but I believe the phrase was to say he chops up the competition and he is killing it and he's doing a great job and he's a big gift to American baseball, so they put this phrase.
Did Ichiro have a nickname?
I don't know Ichiro's nickname, no.
Otani? Do you know Otani?
Otani is Showtime.
Showtime?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great phrase.
Showtime. Showtime.
Yeah. I could be Showtime too.
That's right. And you can do it in soccer. You could be Showtime too.
There was famous Japanese footballer. He went to Germany to play. His nickname was Sushi Bomber because he was scoring. But sushi is well known as a good food, quality food. So I think it's a good phrase. I see. Do you see any kind of discrimination in general in your normal life? Like when you come to the office, when you go home, or like when you eat something at the store. Any small things. Maybe we don't know. We don't realize it, but this question is discriminating.
This is a really it's a really loaded question.
Okay.
Again, I think that everybody has some, and it's not always with bad intention, but it can still be offensive.
Right.
I have, I guess if I try to think of some simple examples that don't feel too heavy. I came to Japan with another American, but she has Japanese descent.
Yeah.
And I was speaking Japanese not as well as today, but conversationally. And she wasn't speaking Japanese at all. But when we would go out, people would always talk to her face and respond to my comments.
Right.
So they couldn't see I'm the one speaking. And that's, I think, still happening. I also have, and I think every person here in Japan has this experience where a person can't hear. It's the same thing, can't hear the Japanese coming out.
I think people get nervous when
they get nervous,
face beautiful blue eyes or green eyes. We just get shocked, I think, because I don't know how many ladies in Japan have blue or green eyes, so we are not used to it. So when we face it, maybe we are just get nervous maybe.
And we can understand that, but again, it's just then about reflecting. Did I do something that might have been,
That's true,
putting someone outside or making them uncomfortable or not seeing them but seeing their skin or their eye colors only? Good or bad. Maybe that's complimentary, so you think it's okay, but it's not necessarily okay just because it's complimentary. But that does make weight. It is better if it's a good intention, but we still don't want to have those kinds of comments.
But it is great things to exchange these kind of information because, like, I didn't even realize my phrase is already discriminating some people. So, and by asking some questions to you, my question is already kind of discriminating. So, as you said, like, if I look back myself and then like think about what I asked, and I think that's the time I realized it.
I also had a very high executive once tell me if he knew I was a woman, he would not have met me.
Really? Wow.
And that kind of conversation happens a lot. So I don't know if I should be grateful that I have a deep voice and people think I'm a man on the phone. Or if I should be just, I'm offended, but how offended I should be.
What he meant, Japanese guy, right?
Yeah, what he meant was that. He meant what he said.
Really? I see. Okay.
Sorry.
Very difficult and sensitive topic, but how can we avoid to have a situation where you might make some discriminated comments? Like, do you have any ideas? Like, maybe like, if I think about myself, try to put myself into the other person's shoes and try to imagine if I ask this question, that person feel in this way or the other way, and then try to understand that person's experience. Or
it's really difficult. I mean, not everyone will speak up, but if you at least try to create an approachable, open desk, so someone can speak up, and then you have that kind of discussion or exploring. That's definitely good. No matter what, if anybody ever brings a complaint, the first response should be, open, listening, acknowledging.
Try to understand.
Because harassment is in the eyes of the person who feels harassed. Discrimination is in the eyes of that person.
Yes.
Of course, we want to understand each other, and no one wants to be accused of anything discriminating. But first is, of course, if you are approached, you have to be open, myself as well. Try to create an environment that people can approach. I always used to say, after that phrase, which I shouldn't say, equal opportunity discriminator, but if you do feel uncomfortable, really, really please tell me, because I'm not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. I just sometimes make a joke about people. So
unconsciously we make bad jokes.
Exactly.
前回の、IT 外資企業で、必要な英語力について話しましたけれども、今回はちょっと踏み込んだ形で、人種差別のところ、男女差別のところについて話をしました。自分自身のこのロゴのところに、ボーイズアンビシャスっていうところに書いたものは、今後ちょっと変えていきたいと思います。このチャンネルでは、業界のこと、それから、今日みたいなトピック、今よくニュースになっているようなアジェンダについても、話していき、みんなで考えていけるような場にしていきたいとも思っていますので、チャンネルの登録、それから高評価の方お願いします。バイバイ。Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
Take the time that you need. Yeah, I know